the magic nexus. We're at the nexus where the cyclical trends driven by the business cycle have reached the bottom of the secular trend. And that is when things get really interesting. Can markets go lower? Possibly. But we're in the zone where we should be utterly focused. My view is the bottom is in markets, but I can be wrong. But the point being is this is the time, the generational opportunity to buy into all of these themes. And I'll run you through some of that. The big one is the exponential age. You've heard me talk about it, but people don't really understand yet what I'm talking about. And there's a lot of technology people saying, oh my God, valuations are too high, naysayers. I don't care. We are at a cyclical turning point in a secular trend. What is the exponential age? The exponential age is this combination of technologies that are all reaching adoption phase at the same time. So you're familiar with the Metcalfe's law effect in cryptocurrencies, but that is playing out literally across all technology at the moment. And it's going to create Reed's law, which is multiple exponential ages or multiple Metcalfe's laws added together. Everything is about to go exponential. I don't even think society can deal with this. It's going to create a huge amount of problems and a huge amount of opportunities. I can't deal with the problems. I'm not a politician, but I can deal with the opportunity. I'd rather invest in the future than ignore it, because then I'm just going to be bitter and everything will have changed and I won't have made any money. If I can make money from it, I can kind of accept the change. It's actually a Jedi mind trick. So the first part of this is what I call the base infrastructure layer. That is data networks, Starlink, 5G, 6G, stuff like that. So 5G is going exponential as we speak. It's rolling out across the world. There is still an issue with who owns 5G, and Huawei in China was the big owners, but it looks like India is going to step into the fray with Reliance Technologies and their rollout of 5G. 5G is only going to get better, and it's going to accelerate. You got to that peak of optimism, then the slump of despair where people are like, well, it's not really happening, it doesn't really mean anything, and then we'll come through the other side. But meanwhile, China is already rolling out tests of 6G, which is a quantum faster. So 5G and 6G basically mean that anything, anywhere, that is a mobile phone signal has massive bandwidth speed. That means we can run any machine anywhere. Every car, everything can run. It's not about your mobile phone anymore. That's just old news. It's everything around us, the Internet of Things, all of this stuff. That's coming. Starlink is an even bigger breakthrough, because Starlink is then delivering this kind of experience, a Wi-Fi experience from space with satellites everywhere and disrupting everything. What's so interesting about Starlink, it's also outside of sovereign control because it's in space. And I've talked at length about space, and you should watch my interview with Leon Alcali about where that's all going. And Starlink is a very key part of this. What Elon Musk has built there is absolutely astonishing. And basically, it's not about giving a bit of access to places that are off the grid. It's basically owning all data and in space, so it's out of sovereign control. It's super interesting, and it does change lives. I know so many people have got Starlink, and it's an incredible change because governments can't build, and companies don't have the money. If you look at AT&T, they're so in debt, they can't build out the infrastructure needed to get 5G everywhere. But Starlink can do pretty much all of that, and it's only going to get more powerful. So anyway, the data, you need data to move around, and you need it at massive speed for the exponential age. That is happening. Computing power. Okay, we've now got the data. We need to create all this compute. You know, AI, robotics, self-driving cars, which is AI in different guise, all of this, Internet of Things, massive amounts of data. Data consumption has been exponential. And computing power, according to Moore's law, has been going logarithmically growing in scope with all of this. Now, where does the extra, Moore's law, people are thinking, well, it's going to die off because we can't get silicon chips to process more data. What we found is we can get computing power efficiencies elsewhere, distributed computing, edge computing, and eventually quantum computing. Quantum computing is like 1,000,000x the power of computing that we know today. And everybody like Google and foreign governments are building on this. The breakthrough is coming. I don't think the quantum breakthrough at scale happens maybe for another 20 years. I hope it doesn't, because it is terrifying when you put quantum computing with AI. But let's not go down to that rabbit hole. We'll talk about that another day. But quantum computing is coming, and we're already seeing news stories come out. People are going to realize that everything is changing. But meanwhile, distributed computing, edge computing creates massive more computational power than first thought. And it also moves away from all of the AWS or Microsoft Azure, stuff like that as well. Processing power, well, we're seeing changes in semiconductors as well that we didn't think was going to happen. We're seeing it from people like ASML. So semiconductors will continue to process more information, and then we've got the computing power on top and the data networks. These things are all coming together at the same time. The other thing, the big one here, is actually energy. So energy is one of the constants in what we do. So we have to extract oil out of the ground, refine it, turn it into electricity to power the world we live in. So the oil price moving up and down, it's very cyclical. That's kind of where it is. But technology has meant that per kind of calorie of power, we can create more output. That is essentially productivity in a nutshell. What becomes really interesting is if that is not fixed. If the cost of energy is not fixed and it starts declining like the cost of computing power, okay, that is truly disruptive to everything. That is a quantum change to the world, much like quantum computing is. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is, as you start powering up solar, wind, hydro, and nuclear, the cost of electricity will collapse because it's less fossil fuels needed. Now, yes, I understand there's a transition story we're not talking about today, but at the margin, it is eating into the use of fossil fuels. And I don't care what your political opinions are about fossil fuels. The point being is that the cost of energy is coming lower because all of these are lower. Now, they can't meet the whole requirements for the grid yet, but if you put nuclear in, you can. But also, all of these technologies are becoming exponential in their efficiency and exponential in a downward cost. So we, over the next 10 years, will see a collapse of the cost of electricity. And over the next 20 years, the cost of electricity will be marginal as opposed to a larger input cost. And that means we can use more computational power and more electricity for more things with less environmental impact as well. And that means we can get more productivity out of per unit of energy. And this is the big thing, because the cost of a unit of energy goes down and the productivity is increasing from the exponential age, and you get a double magnifier effect. So it is kind of Reed's law writ large. Okay, the next layer is the productivity layer. For me, that's AI. It enhances humans. Robotics enhances humans. 3D printing, it makes quick and efficient, effective manufacturing. And that's including in biotech itself. So you can 3D print cells, stuff like that. That's coming. Autonomous vehicles, which means that we can get from A to B without needing drivers. Now, a lot of the productivity layer replaces humans. But remember, all the baby boom population is going to die off in the next 20 years. So we need to replace those humans. So there is going to create friction where AI suddenly disrupts a bunch of people, but also as population shrinks, this happens. And we've seen this at Amazon warehouses, well, Amazon at large. So Amazon employs 1.5 million people and has now on their employment 500,000 robots. Now the robots work 24/7, 365. So therefore they're about 3 or 4 times more productive than the average human, and they're a lot cheaper. And so what it means is Amazon's productive hours per unit is much more attractive for robots, and therefore they actually have more robots in hours than people. And that's only going to continue. We're seeing that everywhere. Fast food, manufacturing, everywhere. Amazon is doing it, and every major company is doing the same. It'll be the same for Walmart. So that is a big change. And yes, all of the productivity layer competes with humans, but I think first it enhances the issues that we've got as society.
Time for the important announcement. Now you can join our community of 5,000 plus members and active stock market investors and receive the latest timely stock market and economy related updates, like what stocks to buy and what stocks to ignore or sell to save your portfolios. Economy and stock market related commentary and alerts are shared regularly on a weekly basis. You can also chat with me during market hours and ask me any questions. Join our community on Discord through Patreon. Upon becoming a member, you'll be able to enjoy some great perks. For example, you'll be able to receive proper buying and selling alerts for a wide range of potential stocks. We'll also share tips and alerts for option trading. You'll receive a weekly guide for stocks performance and updates with technical analysis. You'll be able to chat with over 5,000 like-minded members all the time. And you'll also be able to chat with me during market hours. I'd be delighted if you could join us. The link to join is given in the description below. Thanks, and see you on the other side.